Welcome to the Firebelly Social Show. We're focused on talking to food and beverage brands that are on a mission to make the world better.
Hey, everyone. Duncan here with another episode of the Firebelly Social Show, where we chat with founders and leaders of mission-driven food and beverage brands. Thank you, everyone, for tuning into this latest episode. We've got a great show lined up for you today, talking to Reznichky, co-founder and CEO of Dripdash. This episode is brought to you by Firebelly Marketing. At Firebelly, we help mission-based food and beverage brands bring people closer together through social media marketing. So if you're ready to leverage social media to create more community and excitement around your food and beverage brand, go to firebellymarketing.com and you'll learn more and we can talk. So with no further ado, let's welcome Orr from Dripdash. He's the co-founder and CEO. It's the first ready-to-drink Kyoto iced coffee in the US, and he hails from San Francisco in California. Believe it or not, the company has done so well. It's been sold already to a private equity firm, and he's currently the interim and seeing the brand through its relaunch with new distribution partners and all kinds of new stuff that we're going to get into. So the reason I'm so excited and how we got a wind of them is because they're really reimagining craft coffee. There's a lot of innovation. There's just so much amazing stuff to talk about. So, Orr, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. And that was a very lovely and flattering introduction. So I appreciate it.
I was freaking out. I was like, I forgot to check with him how to pronounce his name. So did I do okay?
Bingo, you got it.
All right.
Good job.
Lady Luck's on my side today. So, or let me ask you this. Let's just start at the top. You know, like how there's so much coffee out there, right? How did you decide to reimagine things and tell us a bit about what Kyoto iced coffee even is?
Sure. I think there's, in the food and beverage space, a lot of companies that go out into market, they look at a lot of industry data, whether it's Spins, Nielsen's, or other. We decided to, by reimagine, really go against the grain. And what I mean by that is we saw a white space in the market. So we did follow some light trends, right? Ready to drink coffee was growing year over year. But what was happening at retail level was stores like Blue Bottle were starting to introduce this Kyoto iced coffee that I'll get to in a moment. And what was happening, one of our co-founders, Dolores Villegas, she was working on training some of these Blue Bottle facilities and the employees there. And what she would hear as feedback is every single day, this Kyoto iced coffee, which is a showcase, brewing device, looks like an hourglass, beautiful piece. Every day it's running out by 10 a.m. And there's a consumer coming in every single day to every one of these stores. And when they run out of it, they are yelling at the baristas, like, how can you not remember who I am? How did you not save me? And people are almost addicted to this coffee. And so Kyoto iced coffee, it's actually a pretty artisanal beverage that dates back to the 1600s. It's a brewing style originally invented by Dutch sailors that were sailing overseas to Japan. And during those voyages, they needed to conserve firewood. So they used some of the lab receptacles to create this slow drip process. It looks like an hourglass if you've ever seen one of those very beautiful pieces in the store. And it drips one drop of water at a time for about 16 hours. And the outcome is this incredibly smooth, shockingly not bitter, and packs a punch type coffee. And our entrance to market was really having this really delicious drink that was artisanal, and then finding this little bit of white space that we can build into. And that's really what set us off to the start, is understanding consumer behavior rather than looking at just compound annual growth rates of different category and combining them together.
I mean, that's amazing, the story and the journey. Is it? What are your thoughts? How many people who are regular coffee drinkers? When I say regular, I mean not regular coffee, but they're drinking it regularly. How many of those in the market have even heard of this style of beverage?
Sure. So in terms of facts, I mean, over 50% of the United States consumer is drinking coffee on a very regular basis. And of those, the people that have heard of Kyoto iced coffee is less than 5%. What's happening is the same way we saw craft beer really have its heyday and moment where all of a sudden you go to Whole Foods and you're just mesmerized. There's a double IPA and a hazy IPA and now non-alcoholic and what we believed was going to be fourth wave coffee. And we could get a little bit later into first, second, and third. Was going to be this aisle where there's going to be cold drip coffee and cold brew coffee and flash brew and then Kyoto iced coffee being almost like the Belgian style ale. So really strong, smooth, and sweet. And that's what we believed is going to be the future. The fourth wave is still being defined, but there's something to do with convenience and technology. And we hope we're riding the right wave here.
That's really something about the fourth wave. I'd heard of the third wave, gosh, 10, 12 years ago, right? And I'd wondered about that, and I'm keen to see how that unfolds. But your company isn't just about coffee, it's a mission. I think Kaizen is the right word, like sustainability. You're like the Avengers of the coffee world, right? How do these kinds of principles, at Dripdash, make such tasty coffee, but it's also planet friendly?
Yeah. It seems like you've done your homework on us and appreciate all that background. So Kaizen, like you said, it's constant improvement in Japanese. And the word is used a lot in even the Toyota lean manufacturing process where they redesign automotive manufacturing, giving almost a stop button in this really long line when any employee or someone in the line sees a problem and you stop it. You go to the root of the problem, try to fix it, and you constantly improve that process by iteration. And for us, that was more of a business strategy. How do we continue improving? I think a lot of times to create something sustainable, it's pretty tough when you're taking a lot of venture dollars and just shoving it down people's throats with marketing. And how we attempted to actually go to market is we were trying to understand the consumer. We started off very homegrown. I mean, we bootstrapped this like crazy, right? We had these little plastic bottles and we would print from a printer where we'd get labels and we'd constantly iterate on the messages. What resonates better with the consumer, bringing back that Japanese origin. So at first it was called cold drip coffee. People had no idea what it was. Changed to Japanese cold brew, changed to Kyoto style coffee, eventually to Kyoto iced coffee. And all of these were tests that we did digitally and in person. So we noticed, as we're doing demos, we're asking consumers for live feedback. Do you know what Kyoto is? Some would know. But then we tested also, at a Japanese store, and a lot of awareness was there. And so that Kaizen, that constant iteration was a way we got to where we are today. And we're really big believers. That's how you build a sustainable brand, and try to study the consumer and connect with them to build that really strong foundation community.
Well, that segues perfectly into my next question, which is about community. It's community driven. I know we were talking about it this morning, and my production person said, "Duncan, this company loves community like peanut butter loves jelly." So, and I think that it ties in right to your passion and your work with the LA Coffee Club. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Wow. Okay. I did not realize.
Hey, I'm ready.
Been extensive. Wow. Geez. Oh my goodness. I'm about to break a sweat. I've done some good homework. Sure. So I think as I was mentioning, and also you mentioned the word Kaizen, right? Constant improvements. LA Coffee Club, something completely different, but that's a new project of mine. That started off as a passion project. What happened actually, I moved to Los Angeles about 3 years ago, and I lived there for 2 years now back in San Francisco for the CPG space. We're starting to launch in retailers down there, and there's some natural osmosis of living in a new location and being around people doing the same thing. And consumer products really has this big space of entrepreneurs in Los Angeles and New York. San Francisco is more on the business to business side of technology. And when I moved there, all of a sudden on Instagram, and I'm by no means an influencer, these girls were following me with blue check marks. Whoa, how do these celebrities find me? These are the first blue check marks that followed me. And they were going every week to this thing called the LA Hike Club. And I was like, what is this? They were, so they messaged me. They're like, oh, you should check out this hike club. There's a bunch of CPG entrepreneurs. I was like, okay, sure. What do I got to lose? There's celebrities there. I didn't really know what blue check marks were. And at the time you can pay for them. And so I went to one. It was like a 6 a.m. at a random hike. And it's still dark out in LA. And all of a sudden I'm meeting all these CPG entrepreneurs. Everyone's very friendly. Like San Francisco, people ask you, what brings you here? What do you do for fun? San Francisco, everyone's like, what do you do for work? That's the first question. And it's very transactional. So this club created this atmosphere of people that just want to support each other and learn more about what each person's individual endeavors are rather than business endeavors. Anyway, I met there a friend that told me about this run club. And turns out this run club would be the most important thing for LA to build a lot of friendships. Fast forward a year later, I first I was pretty confused why people have all these clubs in LA. I was like, why can't people make friends a traditional way? Just, I don't know, from work. And turns out these clubs are very powerful. So I built my own. My friends were moving down from San Francisco. Like, how do you know so many people? And I told them, these influencers followed me and da-da-da-da-da. I posted on Instagram then, hey, who wants to get coffee with a group of friends and meet at this location? 50 people slid in my DMs, and that grew the coffee club. From there, it was friends of friends, and it grew to now 300 people per event. And now we have mansion parties that are sponsored. 300 people about a week and a half ago, we had a magician. We have coffee carts. We have like thousands of different beverages from all types of sponsors. And that's a side, let's call it a passion project gone wild. Now, tying that back to Dripdash, it's all about community. And I think community is an overused term. There was another statement that we like to talk about, 1,000 true customers. And I think to be able to speak and resonate with people and a community, you need to understand exactly why everyone is there and create that personal connection with them, doing things that don't scale from a business foundation. So taking some of these different concepts of what created Dripdash, of doing these things that don't scale, going to the grocery store, reprinting labels again and again until we get the right messaging to the right consumer at the right time. Those are things that don't scale. And I think that goes back to how you build a community, talk to everyone, understand what your users or customers are there for, and how to really appeal to them. And I think that's how we're slowly bridging the gap of Dripdash and Coffee Club. Before now, we just relaunched Dripdash, and we are going to make it the main sponsor of Coffee Club.
That's amazing. We got to talk more about that another time, but
definitely.
But I mean, building a coffee brand with this kind of specificity, did you intend Dripdash to be so cool, literally, or is it just sort of happened? Because it seems like you've created a shockingly smooth cold coffee, and it stands. I mean, when you look at it, at least, and when you read the way people are reacting, it stands above, all the other kind of players in the cold coffee kingdom, if you would. I guess my question is, did you set out to do that, or is it part of this Kaizen process that you arrived there?
Yeah, I think, as much as I wish to reverse engineer the story and tell you it was all planned from the very beginning, that's not the case. There's constantly throwing stuff against the wall and seeing what sticks. And that's, in a way, a sloppy Kaizen, but it's kind of how we set out to build the brand. I think like many different subjects you learn, at first, you really have to see what's going on in the market and see where you can drive inspiration from. And I think at the time when we were building out the brand in 2018, there were a lot of brands in the direct-to-consumer market that were doing phenomenal, and they were getting the second size exit returns after software products. And the Caspers, Allbirds, Warby Parkers of the world had this very unique lifestyle element with the brand where they're showing people with the photography. But what we noticed, a trend that was going on, and also taking, some of the different Japanese coffees in Japan, what we noticed was less lifestyle photography, but more animated and visuals. And we continued iterating on that. And there was, because we bootstrap, like I said, like crazy, there was an element of copying. You do copy the inspiration, you make it your own, but that's how you copy. When you start cooking, for example, you don't just show up in the kitchen and throw ingredients together. You follow recipes and you follow time and time again and again until you really understand what works, what tastes good, and then you make it your own. So slowly over time, as we're learning, we iterated and made it our own. And I think right now we're very unique. And, at one point we even had a soy sauce bottle that we released as a pre-order. And that went viral. That was pretty cool. I wish we could bring it back, but very hard to find the right co-packer to put coffee in soy sauce bottle.
I was about that, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's just amazing!" That is so. I mean, that's word of mouth at its finest, right? That is so good, and love it. And just I came with a very specific flow, but I got to go off the flow. I mean, even the cans, they look so different. They look. I mean, everything about it is just unique, and it's
Thanks.
not. I'm trying to be you. It's just that this is who I am, kind of a vibe to it. And of course, in East Asian culture, when you become at the top of your game, you have to kill the master. So
yeah, there's a long journey ahead, but yeah, that's the ultimate dream, is if we can somehow end up in 7-Eleven Japan, which is, at every single corner, and in vending machines in Japan, which have a lot of coffee, and those are the masters that have a lot of revenue that we love to take a chunk of or add to create another level of uniqueness through our category.
So, let's talk about the comeback journey and the relaunch. What's happening with all of that, and what can you tell people about when to expect it?
Sure. Yeah. So actually, just this last week was Expo West, and we debuted our product. So we just relaunched after over a year in hibernation. Essentially, during that time, we actually sold the business to a private equity group, and we still haven't disclosed that. So we'll slowly get additional news. But it was quite a journey. We built it for 5 years. Now I am interim CEO, and we have the group back together just under slightly new ownership. And what to expect is essentially, we have longer shelf life. Products are delicious and amazing as they were before. And we're now going to unlock lots of new channels for distribution, both online and in retail. And I think that's hoping to get in your hands as easily and quickly as possible.
That's great. Now, let me say, from Silicon Valley to coffee, as you said, from San Francisco to LA, very different vibes. How did your background influence your coffee journey? What have you brought from your SaaS world to the coffee world?
Sure. I think, my background, I started off, and going back to college, I studied quantitative psychology and economics. And the purpose for that was trying to understand human behavior and really model it. And so I went to SaaS sales, and I was selling database and a lot of different technology products, enabling companies to really build on top of their tech stacks before, and create it with speed and scale unseen, which creates a new twist to types of products you can create as a software organization. At Dripdash, I think that iteration process and really thinking about problems as, a seller, what you're talking about is a problem solution. As anyone in a company, right? When you're pitching to VCs, you start off with a problem and solution. And so I think being able to constantly think through that, as in, what is actually the current problem with, or what is the current problem for the consumer going to Whole Foods? Do they have a big enough selection? They sure do. But do they want products that are really unique and tasty? And can we provide it to them in a way that connects with them on a digital level? And that was, I think, where our angle came in. And then also bring it all back to the Japanese heritage. So I think the frameworks that I've been able to develop and learn from the software industry have been very valuable. And again, going back to Kaizen, it's really just an iterative process. I wish well, maybe wish is a strong word, but it would be nice to have it all figured out, but we're all just learning. And I think it's good to just be humble and honest with yourself. No one knows everything. You're going to make a ton of mistakes. Just be open to that and continue improving as best you can.
I mean, I have 50,000 more questions, but let's switch to a little bit of founder life. We have such an appreciation for what you founders do in the food and beverage space, and it's not an easy journey. It's a grind. But I think I wanted to ask you, like, how do you take care of yourself amidst all of this?
Sure. I think it's been very important to create a pretty good work-life balance. And I know that's understated, and you'll find a lot of podcasts from the Andrew Hubermans of the world where they'll say you need 15 minutes of sunlight and you need to wake up by this hour and not drink coffee for an hour and a half. And I think you will slowly, again, going back to the whole kitchen philosophy of learning to copy and then making it your own. I found for me, I do need a very consistent routine, but also to forgive myself when those days are a little bit hectic and I can't do that, right? And so my current routine does look like, a 6 a.m. wake up. And then I try to work out at least 3 days a week by 7 a.m. where I go to a workout class, and the other 2 days I'll run in the evening. While I like to, according to Andrew Huberman, it's okay to drink coffee first thing in the morning and not wait an hour and a half. That's inspires and motivates me to do those very early workouts. And then from there, it's just about tackling the day. If I intermittent fast, I start eating at 11 a.m. I try to meditate. The reality is it ends up happening like once a month. Try to talk to some friends on the phone, go for laps, get some air, sunlight, and same stuff you'll hear all the time. I wish I had a perfect routine and was robotic about it. But those are the main things is just staying healthy, both mentally and socially. I need to spend time with friends, talk to family, and make sure they can, bring me back up when I'm down, and vice versa. Make sure you feel like you're contributing back to their lives as busy as you might be.
That's awesome. I talk to so many founders, and you are one of the 5 or 6 that has such a wonderful regimen and approach. So that's really great to hear. Thank you so much for being here today. Big thanks to our sponsor, Firebelly Marketing, bringing you closer through social media, because who says coffee can't have a social media game too? It's been a blast diving into the world of Dripdash, from soy sauce bottles to Silicon Valley Coffee Magic and the LA Coffee Club. Listeners, don't forget to check out their Kyoto iced coffee. This is your cue, or where can they find it?
Yeah. So right now, as I said, we just relaunched. So give it about 3 months and it should be at Whole Foods. And if you're a Whole Foods buyer in new regions we haven't gotten to, this is your sign. Bring us on. It's going to be mostly in California retail, and then direct to consumer, as well as different online marketplaces. And I'll make sure to follow up with you and give some links, but ideally dripdash.com.
Awesome. Thank you everyone for listening, and special thanks to all of you out there sipping along with us. If you enjoy this episode, give us a shout out on social media using hashtag FirebellySocial. Stay tuned for more epic stories from the mission-driven food and beverage universe. Until next time, thank you, Orr, for making the world a better place, my man. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you.
This is Duncan signing off. Remember, this is my first time doing this, Orr. It's in honor of you. Life's too short for bad coffee.
There we go. Appreciate that.
Thank you. See you on the next one, everyone.
Thanks for listening to the Firebelly Social Show. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.